African stakeholders are currently gathered in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, at WEF Africa. Now, CNBC Africa caught up with Daniel Monehin, Divisional President for Sub-Saharan Africa of MasterCard, at the conference to discuss how growth can be unlocked in Africa. So let's take a look.
For me, it's a recognition that Nigeria is playing on a global scale, and therefore partnerships and collaborations have to be global. And it was telling that the Premier of China was right on the stage as the President spoke. So there's been a lot of discussion yesterday, which carried on today, and there'll be a lot of collaborations in order to create jobs, to create opportunities, because there was a recognition that there's a very big market in Nigeria. Productivity is what needs to come in to meet those demands and meet those needs. And when the productivity happens here, the people will be engaged here, they'll be gainfully employed, and I believe that's the right direction to go.
So did you leave that session confident that going forward we will begin to implement that and see changes?
If what was said there was anything to go by, there was a commitment to make it happen. And the Chinese Premier, when he spoke before the President, he said whatever the Chinese promise to do, they do, and they do fast. So something similar to that. So there's a lot of expectation. And don't forget, the recent rebasing of the GDP has put Nigeria in the spotlight. There's nowhere to hide. You have to either perform or be ridiculed. And I can feel the administration feeling that pressure to have the right collaborations and do the right things. Because the President in his opening remarks said, yeah, we're growing, yeah, we're big GDP-wise, but the development has not trickled down to the regular masses. So there's a lot of focus on that. So for him to say that right off the bat, and not a critic saying that, is a recognition of the fact that he recognizes where the problem areas are and focused on resolving it.
Now, talking about focus, let's talk about the industry where MasterCard is a big player. Let's start with innovative and secure payment solutions. What models can African economies adopt to achieve one that will help develop the continent?
A model of financial services?
Yes.
Well, it's one that is driven by technology, driven by innovation, and driven by scale. So, driven by technology, the technology that exists today is mind-blowing in terms of the speed of transactions, in terms of being able to drive down costs, and in terms of being able to come up with several solutions that addresses different needs of the consumer. So the technology is there, the technology can be leveraged, the technology does not need to be reinvented because it already exists. And from our implementations in Africa, Africa actually has one of the best technologies. It's been embracing one of the best technologies for security, which is the EMV chip and PIN technology. That's already 4 or 5 years old in Nigeria. The West, the United States, don't even have that yet on their system. So in terms of technology, we're moving in the right direction. It's the speed of adoption that needs to also ramp up there. So that's the technology. Innovation, you cannot but innovate, because the moment you deploy technology, it's obsolete by next week. So you need to keep on reinventing, keep on innovating, and that's what MasterCard is really focused on. Thirdly is scale, and that's what MasterCard brings to the table. Massive scale across the world. MasterCard operates in 210 countries and territories, and Nigeria is the hub for the MasterCard business for Sub-Saharan Africa, where it's staffed by local people. And therefore, we're in it for the long run, which is another thing that the President talked about.
Sorry to butt in. Talking about local people, huge population, 170 million, there's still a large population that is unbanked. And I know that MasterCard is also deploying technologies to help bridge that gap. What kind of technologies are we looking at, and what is the progress so far?
So banking the unbanked, it's a huge focus for MasterCard because to your point, over 70% of Nigerians do not have access to financial services. But there are a lot of solutions that can address this, and there's one that's already in play and it's about to be launched. It's the National ID card that we're partnering with the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, an agency of the federal government of Nigeria, where a biometric-based identity card is coupled with a payment instrument, with a financial payment instrument, and with a prepaid card, such that anyone that card is issued to, you can identify that this is the individual with biometric qualities, which is a big advancement. I'll come back to that on the advantages of an identity, but that individual also gets an account on that card, because on that card you can load money, it's a store of value, you can receive money on there, you can transfer money, you can transact, you can pay, you can draw money on an ATM from that same card. So it enables financial inclusion to a large extent, and actually that rollout of the ID card with the payment instrument is the largest financial inclusion program by any government anywhere in terms of scale. It's a huge scale, because everyone 16 years old and above in Nigeria will receive that card. So the pilot of 30 million cards is what MasterCard is championing. At the end of the day, there's going to be about 120 million cards out there, identity with a card attached, with a payment instrument attached to it.
Thank you so much,
Daniel. So really excited.